excuse me, for the 1 a.m. live stream. As always, anything you want to talk about when it comes to Freemasonry, positive, negative, or neutral, I'd love to hear it. Any thoughts you have about Freemasonry? Same thing, I'd love to hear it. These 1 a.m. streams, I don't have any specific topics. It's more just me hanging out and chatting. I will say for the 1 p.m. stream scheduled for today, one thing I will talk about, so in about 12 hours from now, is going to be the 2025 Canadian federal budget. I looked into it a little bit, and I noticed that there are some funds for local arts, local programs, which could actually be a benefit to Masonic lodges or Masonic buildings if they would like to take advantage of it. As my table squeaks. All right, but let's give it a few minutes for now. Let's see who joins. As always, like I said, please hit like and subscribe. It's been quite the day for politics, both in Canada and the United States. Obviously, United States had a ton, oof, that's a nice sound, had a ton of elections. I think it was a Democratic sweep pretty much, except for in Texas, there was a Proposition 11, which had to do with property taxes, which I think would be more right wing kind of coded. But in terms of candidates, it was left wing. Left wing won across the board. Please, though, take a moment, hit the like, hit the subscribe, and I hope everybody is doing well. Let's give it a few minutes. Let's see who wants to chat about Freemasonry. And anybody has any thoughts on Freemasonry, again, please let me know. Any thoughts, positive, negative, or neutral? I'd love to hear it. This is going to be a short stream. These 1 a.m. streams I tend to do for about an hour, give or take, so not too long at all. But please jump in the chat and say hello. And as always, let me know what you want to chat about. When it comes to Freemasonry, any thoughts you may have, positive, negative, or neutral, I'd love to hear them. And I hope everybody is having an excellent night. With New York in the news so much, I would love to actually get the chance to visit it again. Maybe I'll have a better time second time round than my first visit. Immortal, not that I didn't hate it the first visit, but I definitely found it very crowded and big and loud. I don't think I was prepared for just how crowded New York actually is. Immortal Coil. Freemasons are stooges for Zionist, I think it means Zionism, and they don't even know it. Well, Immortal Coil, I would disagree with you on that point. Zionism is a political philosophy. Freemasonry is not political. Now, that's not to say there aren't some Freemasons who may be Zionist, just like there are some Freemasons who'd be anti-Zionist, right? There is no political. Freemasonry is not a political organization. In fact, we are in Freemasonry not allowed or restricted from discussing politics or religion while in lodge, because those things have a tendency to create divisions. Ova Hills says hello. Hello, Ova. Thank you for being here. I hope you hit the like and subscribe button. Let me ask you, Immortal Coil, on what are you basing your assertion as to Freemason are stooges for Zionism? What would give you that belief? I'm thinking you spend too much time checking out YouTube videos or Twitter. But please take a moment to hit the like and subscribe button, Ova Hills. Same thing with you, Immortal Coil, and let me know how you're doing. Again, Immortal Coil, I'm happy to talk with you about your thoughts. Um, we'll give it a bit of time. We'll see who jumps in the chat to say hello. As always, please hit like and subscribe. And these 1 a.m. chats, 1 a.m. Eastern, it's just me talking about Freemasonry. So, any thoughts you have on Freemasonry? I've been a Freemason since 2007. I don't know everything about Freemasonry by any means. However, I'd like to think I have some experience, and I like to talk, and I love to talk about Freemasonry. Hence why I'm on here. Z/Z. What is up with you, sir? How's it going? Thank you for being here. I hope you're doing well. How are you a Mason? Well, what makes you so, John Smith? I can't tell if your question is being legit or facetious or sarcastic, but assuming your question is legit, many Freemasons are, Freemasons are not rich. That's kind of a myth. You don't have to be rich to be a Freemason, nor is it required, nor is it expected. In fact, if anybody contacts you and tells you joining Freemasonry will make you rich, you will be very disappointed, and they're almost certainly scamming you. Having said that, John Smith, if you want to help me get a new t-shirt, then why not do a super chat? Even 99 cents can help big time. And help me get a new shirt. We'll call it the Cameron Shirt Fund. This in my efforts to turn my passion of Freemasonry into a profession, that is YouTube. The Builders Guilds were turned into Masonic lodges. Who were the men that led this tradition? Well, there's been a few. I mean, it depends. It depends on a lot of historical stuff. I mean, I would tend to go with Anthony Sayer as the proponent, right? He was the first Grand Master of the Grand. Sorry about that. I know my table's kind of squeaking. He was the first Grand Master of the Grand Lodge of England. Anderson would be a big one as well. If you want to base it on Scotland, I just double checked online to make sure I got the right ones. William and Anthony Alexander and Alexander Strachan, 1634. Oh, you're way off, Immortal Coil. I'm very sorry to let you know, but you've been getting some very false information. So the transition from operative to speculative Freemasonry, there are different people you can kind of pin that on, depending on your researches and kind of where you view the start of that transition to be. The first speculative Masons date to 1634, which was about 100 years before Adam Weishaupt. And again, I double checked it on Google, but I'd known it before. It was William and Anthony Alexander and Alexander Strachan. That's in 1634. A gentleman by the name of, I'm going to get this wrong, it was either Ashmore or Ashmole, Elias Ashmore, I believe. He became a speculative Mason in England in 1646. The Grand Lodge of England, the Premier Grand Lodge, was formed in 1717, June 24th of 1717, and the first Grand Master was Sayer. And I tend to go with Sayer as being the leader of the transition from speculative to operative, from operative to speculative. So, Immortal Cole, I'm very sorry to say you are very off. Again, Adam Weishaupt, who eventually started, I believe is who you're speaking about, who initially started the Illuminati. That was, if I recall correctly, 1717. Yes, Cowboy, I have a big nose. What can I say? I've grown to accept it. If you want to make me feel better about the size of my nose, you can hit the like button, the subscribe button, and give a 99-cent super chat. So again, if you want names, Elias Ashmore, 1646, Anthony Alexander, William Alexander, and Alexander Strachan from 1634, or Sayer and even Anderson from the Premier Grand Lodge. Odins, would it make a difference if I were Jewish, out of curiosity? And if so, what difference would it make to who I am as a person or to what I'm discussing? And to everybody watching this, again, please take a moment to hit that like and subscribe button. I would truly, truly appreciate it. I think you got, I think, Immortal Coil, you have got the Freemasons and the Illuminati confused. Obviously, that is a confusion that is very common amongst many non-Masons, and even some Masons, to be honest, who are reliant upon false information. But I think you're getting the two confused. Yes, I wouldn't be here. Well, if whether you're here or not is based on my either religion or ethnicity, then I'd rather you not be here, Odins. I appreciate everybody in the audience, but if you're basing that on, if you're basing who you speak with or talk to based on their religion or their ethnicity, then not cool. So, Odins, I would bid you adieu. But if I were you, Immortal Coil, what I might do is take a few moments to check out Freemasonry for Dummies by Chris Hodapp, which gives a good explanation for it. You can also, again, you can even look them up, William and Anthony Alexander and Alexander Strachan, Strachan, and again, Elias, it's either Ashmore or Ashmole. I can't think of, I think it was Ashmore, but I could be mistaken. It's Ashmore Ashmole from 1646. I mean, fair enough. I can't speak to your knowledge of the Illuminati. I think, but again, I believe you have confused Illuminati and Freemasonry. Right? Illuminati started, 50 to 100 years after Freemasonry, depending on, again, the dates you want to use. It actually started by a Freemason who left Freemasonry because he did not like certain aspects of Freemasonry. Particularly, he thought it was too expensive. Believed there needed to be more esoteric involvement. Illuminati pretty much ceased to exist, to my knowledge, by like the 1910s, the 1920s, something to that effect, and hasn't really mattered since. There's always been this idea, I don't know why, that the Illuminati infiltrated Freemasonry, which is a bunch of baloney. In fact, George Washington was famously a Freemason, and somebody wrote a letter to him while he was president, stating that the Illuminati had taken over Freemasonry, and George Washington just never responded because it was baloney. What is my definition of Freemasonry? Well, I mean, so Freemasonry is, Freemasonry is kind of an umbrella term, right? But it basically refers to civic and social groups and clubs which trace their origins to stone mason guilds of the Middle Ages, and then evolved into social clubs and fraternal organizations, and organizations more in general, because they also include organizations for women, right? But what connects, for example, Freemasonry in Ontario to Freemasonry in Alabama to Freemasonry in Texas is mutual recognition and regularity. Basically, we all evolved from the same source, operative stone Masonic guilds. The reason why Illuminati don't count is because they are not evolved from stonemason guilds and they are not recognized or regular. Well, I'm going to take your question literally, Immortal Coil, because there are no universal goals within the Masonic order, right? There is no kind of global or universal governing body that's setting the goals for Freemasonry. The goals that I have for Freemasonry, honestly, are different than other people's. Like I can say, so there's two ways to answer that question. What are my goals within Freemasonry, which is to be the best Mason I can be and to use the privileged position of being a Freemason. And I don't mean privileged as in more money, more fame, more success. I mean privileged in the same way I'm in a privileged position with my neighbor. Because I'm neighbors, I know more about them. I can try to support them and help them. I'm in a privileged position as it relates to them. I'm in a privileged position to be a Freemason in that I have brothers and a support system and friends. Um, so my goal within Freemasonry, my goal personally is to be the best Mason I can be and to use my privileged position within Freemasonry to try to help others and try to make the community a better place. If I honestly had to pick my goal for Freemasonry, my goal would be to promote its relevance within communities, um, which is my main goal of this channel, right? Is to promote the ways Freemasonry was and is relevant to the communities in which it's located, and to try to turn my passion for Freemasonry into a profession by doing this for a living. So please subscribe and give a super chat. But beyond that, Immortal Cole, you would have to ask every single Mason what his goal is because every Mason has a different goal. There are many disputes within Freemasonry as to how Freemasons should move forward and move year by year. So you can take that for whatever it's worth. Um, but again, Immortal, I think you may be under the misunderstanding that Freemasonry has a single governing body setting goals for it throughout the world, where it doesn't. It's jurisdictional. Freemasonry in Ontario is different than Freemasonry in Texas, for example. It's under different jurisdiction, it's under different rules. If that made any sense. And welcome to everybody who's here. Please take a moment, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. And I hope everybody is doing very well. Hit like, hit subscribe. Well, I tried my best, Mr. Keeps. The problem, again, with saying what are your goals within the Masonic order is it's very hard to answer that because there is no Masonic order. There's Masonic jurisdictions, but there is no global Masonic order. I'm the degree that matters, Immortal Core, which is third degree Master Mason. I am an 18th degree Scottish Rite. I am part of Rose Qua. However, what matters most, what's the most important degree, is the third degree Master Mason. Beyond that, a lot of people overestimate the value of, like, a lot of people who are not Masons will hear the term 33rd degree and assume that means that Mason is like 11 times higher than a third degree Mason, which is not the case. The degree that matters the most is third degree Master Mason. And you could argue the office that's most important is Worshipful Master. You're a cool guy, just a tall head shape. I mean, Rochester, what can I say? I have a tall head shape. I've grown to accept that about myself. You know, no one, if anybody watching this, one piece of advice, if you are self-conscious about how you look, don't go on YouTube. They will point out how ugly you are. I've grown to accept it. Yes, third degree is the highest. Gwen, this is some, well, I hope not. I hope I'm trying to, I hope it's not the case. Maybe I'm not explaining myself well. It's 1 a.m., so maybe I'm just tired. But I do try my best to explain Freemasonry. I don't always succeed well. Hopefully, I'll get better as I go. I've been doing this enough hours that you'd think I'd be better at it. Thank you, Oblivious. God bless indeed. I appreciate that very much. And God bless to all of you. Why did the Worshipful Master bring a map to the meeting? I'm going to guess the answer is to find the East, is going to be my assumption. But the typical Masonic answer that you would give in that scenario is it's a secret. Whenever, there's any type of call and response joke, my answer is always it's a secret. So how many Masons does it take to change a light bulb? It's a secret. because his brothers couldn't. I mean, they'll figure it out. Every corner matters. Every corner is important. In operative Freemasonry, back when they were building things out of stone, right, the northeast angle was very important because it's where you placed the cornerstone. And the cornerstone, we have a more ceremonial purpose for it, but historically, it was just where you'd put the first stone of a building. Uh, how old is my grandmother? I got many grandmothers. And it should be mother anyways, because grandmother would apply to Grand Lodge, but 403 years of age. Um, well, thank you, mathematics. By the way, I love mathematics, as every Freemason should. Thank you for being here. I hope you're doing well. I hope you'll hit the like and subscribe button, mathematics. Um, well, no, mathematics, you can't do that. My grandfather was a Mason. Okay, my grandfather was a Mason as well, as was my father. Yeah, I'm never honestly. Well, Fly, sounds like you got some political opinions. Thank you for being here. I've never been a huge fan of that question, to be honest. First of all, because to me, grandmother would imply Grand Lodge, and the age of your Grand Lodge is different than your lodge. But second, I just prefer just ask the question, are you a Freemason? And if they say yes, don't just take their word for it. Ask them for a dues card or confirmation. Um, all right, mathematics. I think you are trolling, so I'm going to put you in timeout. Having said that, I love pickles. Um, uh, Fly, welcome, Fly. Thank you for being here. Instead of saying that, maybe you have some other things to say, a bit more positive or constructive, would be much appreciated. That taco guy, welcome. Well, so Gwen, there is no Masonic opinion on Israel or Palestine, right? That's a political question. Freemasonry is not a political organization. In fact, within Freemasonry, we are not allowed to discuss politics or religion while in lodge. That would include questions as to Palestine or Israel. I can give you my personal opinion, but if you want the opinion of Freemasons, you'd have to ask all like 850,000 of them in the United States and all probably 50,000 in Canada, give or take. Um, I will say though, I am a member of a Masonic lodge in Israel, Lodge Holy Land number 50 out of Tel Aviv, and proud of it. Having said that, uh, yeah, I think what was happening in Palestine was horrific. Um, so Trump is not Scottish, right? Immortal Coil. Now, again, I can't know for sure. So I can't say 100%, but everything I've seen and read and is that Trump is not a Freemason, not a Freemason of any sort, not Scottish Rite or York Rite or Shrine or anything like that, or even Craft Lodge. To my understanding, Donald Trump is not a Freemason. I think that kind of is kind of coming from conspiracy YouTube channels. But no, Donald Trump, to my knowledge, is not a Freemason. Fly, I may have to put you in a timeout soon, unless you maybe provide something more conductive to the chat. To everybody who's here, thank you so much for being here. Please hit like, please hit subscribe. Immortal Coil, if you don't mind me asking, on what are you basing the idea that Trump is Scottish Rite? You say so I've heard. I'm assuming heard from some social media accounts, for example, um, is my assumption. And if anybody wants to do a super chat, 99 cents, please feel free. Well, Fly, I am home, but I appreciate your suggestion on that. Interestingly enough, though, I am going back to one of my ancestral homes. I'm going to England shortly because my pops is from there. So I look forward to being back and visiting some family. Um, Well, so to my knowledge, the fez, I'm not a Shriner, keep in mind, but the fez is actually red to represent a certain type of berry that grows in Morocco. Because the fez is obviously, it takes, and the shrine in general, it takes a lot of Islamic influences. But the fez is based on a hat from Morocco, and the red color is based on a berry and a dye that comes from Morocco. If I could ever visit, I mean, I'm happy to visit any country I can, but in terms of Muslim majority countries, I really want to visit Morocco because I understand there's a lot of really cool Masonic history and lodges there. Um, yes, the little cars, but it's Morocco and it's a berry. That's to my knowledge. Although interestingly enough, if you are um, interested in the history of the Crusades, the Knights Templar, and all that jazz, I just watched Kingdom of Heaven. Great movie. But yes, Rainy Girl, I love the little cards too. The Shrine are an awesome part of our Masonic history and our Masonic family. Morocco, I think Morocco would like me. I'm very friendly, right? I think Morocco would be a big fan of me. Everybody likes me, um, including Morocco, I'm sure. And apparently they have a really, like I said, a really interesting Masonic history. Um, Yeah, not the best. Syndicate leader, how is it going once again? And thank you for being here. Yes, it is. And I think because obviously there's a lot of symbolic connections between, not so much literal, but symbolic connections between Freemasons and the Knights Templar. So obviously, and Jerusalem and the Holy Land. So for a variety of reasons, a lot of Masons really like Kingdom of Heaven. Well, they build upon one another, Immortal Coil. So the typical way it works is you get your first 3 degrees within what's called your craft lodge, your entered apprentice, your fellow craft, and your master mason. And then if you want to join, let's say, the Scottish Rite, you continue on and get your fourth degree to your 32nd degree. If you want to join the York Rite, you join the various chapters or bodies, or you can join the shrine. So it's progressive, right? However, that doesn't mean that an 18th degree Mason would be considered, for example, a higher level than a third degree Mason, at least in terms of lodge administration functioning work. I've told this story, but I was just in a meeting where you had 8 Masons, one of whom was a 33rd degree. The rest were, third degree Masons, or in one case, even an entered apprentice. When it came to a vote, the 33rd degree got 1 vote, as did every other Mason, and he was outvoted. The fact he was 33rd didn't make any difference. It didn't put him at a higher rank or give him the authority to kind of boss around his brethren. What degree? I am a Master Mason. That's the degree that matters. I'm also Worshipful Master of my lodge, one of my lodges. I'm also a Past Master. Um, and I'm 18th degree Scottish Rite. But yeah, a lot of people misunderstand this idea of Freemasonry or degrees as being like, if you're a 33rd, you're a higher degree or you're more important than a third degree. That's not how it works. Fly, I mean, I'm going to keep you around for now, but you're getting close to a timeout, sir. I'm assuming, sir. I don't know. Um, sir/ma'am. Thank you, that taco guy. Yeah, I mean, it's a great honor to be a past master, and it's a great honor to be a current worshipful master, and it's a great honor to be a third degree. Traveling lamp. You're gonna have to help me out there, traveling lamp, when you say why. I do not know to what you are referring. Um, it's all right, syndicate leader. I'm not that concerned about him right now. I mean, I know he can be annoying to people in the chat, but I have to read his stuff. Um, so traveling lamp. Sorry, are you asking why I'm a Freemason? Why I like to talk about it? Why it's an honor to be a master? Um, and I know many Muslim Freemasons. So. You do not. You do not. That is not what Freemasonry is about. Freemasonry is not a religion. You can be a Freemason and faithful to your religious beliefs, whatever they may be, and you should be. Um, Thank you. Why not? I appreciate that. Um, really curious. Well, why is it great to be a third degree? What is the accolade? Um, well, I mean, there is no accolade to being a third degree. Like, you're called Master Mason, you get an apron, I guess, but really it's because it allows you to contribute more. It puts you in a privileged position to contribute more to your Masonic lodge, right? It allows you to become an officer in the lodge. It allows you to potentially become the worshipful master. In some jurisdictions, it allows you to, to attend business meetings and vote and pass motions. Um, and to get the third degree, there's a ceremony, and it's work to put on the ceremony. A lot of Masonic brothers need to take part in it. So the fact that you get your third degree means a significant number of brothers chose to take time from their day to show up for you and support you, which is a really honorable feeling. Or even showed up to just watch. Never underestimate the power of your presence. Even if you're not taking part in a degree, it doesn't mean you cannot show up and be there, and your presence can be of support. So that stuff matters. There are many Muslim Freemasons. Well, Adam, I'm very sorry, but this is not about Scientology. I have no issue with Scientologists. I'm sure they're good people, but I can't help you. Um, that's fine. I mean, when you say invited, normally Freemasons wouldn't invite you to a lodge per se. Now, if they're having a public event like an open house, then they may invite you to the open house. Um, right? That is possible. But I mean, wanting to learn more about Freemasonry is always a good thing, and I think the pursuit of knowledge is always a good thing. Um, Traveling lamp. So there is no global Masonic goal, right? Because Freemasonry is jurisdictional. The Masonic lodges to which I'm a part of are in a different jurisdiction than in Texas, than in England, than and around the world, right? So you'd have to, in the States, for example, you'd have to ask 850,000 Freemasons what their goal is, and each one will have a slightly different goal. For me, the goal I have within Freemasonry is to try to use my privileged position of being a Freemason. When I say privileged, it just means opportunities to know people, to help people, to have brothers, to try to make the world a better place through the application of brotherly love, relief, and truth. Um, my other goal is to turn my passion of Freemasonry into a profession by doing these live streams. So please donate to the live stream, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and share it. One common goal you hear is to make good men better. I just think every Freemason needs to decide for himself or herself what their goal is within Freemasonry. That needs to be the most important thing. No Mason can state for any other Mason their goal. I believe in secret society. Well, I mean, the why of Freemasonry, GE logos, is the same why of when you're a kid and you create your own clubhouse. It's the why of the moose, it's the why of the elks, it's the why of people forming groups. People like to belong to something, they want to belong to something. It's in our nature, and Freemasonry is one way that people can fulfill that nature and that desire. It's not the exclusive way, but it's the way I chose. Um, Honestly, Adam, I do, and I don't, so I'm being hypocritical there. Again, hypocrisy is not a accusation I can run from too much, but I do think we as Freemasons should try to practice some practical stonework skills, I think it helped us better understand Freemasonry, to understand our operative roots. So yes, in the same way, I think every professional wrestler, because I've trained as a professional wrestler, every professional wrestler should learn how to take apart and set up a wrestling ring. Um, Even if they never have to do it for their job officially, they should know about how it operates and how it works, and they should know every aspect of their craft, including the canvas on which they are performing. Sorry, Traveling Lamp, I missed it before it got retracted. I saw something about you found in churches. Forgive me for not seeing more of it. To everybody watching this, please take a moment, hit the like and subscribe button. I would truly appreciate it. And thank you so much, everybody who's joined. I honestly wanted to have on my podcast a stonemason to talk about stonework a little bit, and what stonemasons actually do, but no luck so far. So, Adam, so Fly, once again, I think maybe you need to calm down a little bit. I appreciate you being here, but you know, try to maybe be more constructive. WWE style. So, we're working. That doesn't mean it's not real. It's very real, but we be working. Um, if they choose to, I mean, Masonic lodges, we're not charities per se. So there are some Masonic lodges that may focus more on Masonic history or brotherly support, right? They may, for example, at Christmas time, they may focus on sending out care packages or visiting widows of Masonic members, or doing a Christmas dinner for their members. Others may choose to engage in charitable activities like donations to different groups, or I know one Masonic lodge every year it volunteers at a soup kitchen, and all the Masons get together and serve soup to the homeless population. So it really depends on the lodge, but certainly if a lodge is acting charitably, it's not going to expect anything in return. Um, it is choreographed, it is worked, but yeah, absolutely. Um, no such thing as coincidence. Thatch, welcome. Thank you for being here. I tend to think coincidences can happen. I'm not opposed to coincidences. Having said that, if you feel like a coincidence is leading you in a direction, then all the better. Um, Thank you once again, everybody who's joined. I'm 2 subs away from 2,800 subscribers. So if you get the chance, I hope that you'll consider subbing. Please hit that like button. Do a super chat of 99 cents. Let's give things another, let's say, um, 10 minutes or so before we end the stream. Because tomorrow I do have to get up early. I have my daytime lodge meeting, which, I'm proud to be worshipful master of. I mean, I can't speak to the magic side of it. I don't know if you mean magic is in like legitimate, like Wiccan, Wiccan style magic, or if you mean magic is in terms of illusionists. Famously, Harry Houdini was a magician and a Freemason. But in terms of the grandparents were Masons, both of my grandfathers were Masons, and my great grandfathers as well. So. Yeah, it's something I'm very proud of, to have my family connections, as was my father, or as is my father, I should say. We're going to give it a few more minutes. Thank you, Immortal Coral. That's incredibly kind of you. And I appreciate you being here very much. Look, if, as always, there's any topics you want me to discuss, this goes for everybody. Please let me know. I'm always looking for new content, right? Sometimes on my streams, I just hang out and chat, but sometimes I have specific topics I want to discuss. So, and I'm always happy to get ideas from the audience as well, who I greatly appreciate. We're going to give it a bit more time to see who joins. Traveling lamp. Yeah, I mean, many times you have husbands and wives, or wives and husbands, pick your, immersed in lodges together. So, um, in different ways. There are many examples and many times where, family members, wives, for example, will help prepare lodge meetings. They'll help prepare meals. They'll form ladies' auxiliaries. They'll do their own charitable activities. They'll create their own social events and social nights. You'll have like husbands at the meeting and the wives go out for wine or cocktails or go to an orchard, whatever it might be. So you're absolutely right, because Illuminati is a huge deal when it comes to Freemasonry. Like, people are very often confusing the two. And I would say people very often search Illuminati thinking they're searching about Freemasons and Freemasonry. So you're absolutely right, Immortal Coil. And also, it would help warn people about what to avoid, because many people use the term Illuminati to scam people when they're trying to, they'll say like the Masonic Order of the Illuminati or something, and it's just scammers. So protect people from those. So thank you again for being here, everybody watching. Please take a moment, jump in the chat, say hello, hit that like and subscribe button. I'm one sub away from 2,800 subs. That's probably not the case, Traveling Lamp. That there's famously a letter that was written to George Washington advising him that Illuminati had, subverted or infiltrated Masonic lodges. To our knowledge, George Washington never responded. But honestly, the Illuminati was started by a Freemason, a guy called Adam Weishaupt in 1717, if I recall correctly. He left Freemasonry because he didn't like it, because he thought it was too expensive, and because he thought that it was not esoteric enough for his interest. So, I mean, I don't know a lot about Illuminati, what they believe or don't believe, or what they are for or against. They haven't really existed, like I said, since the 1910s, the 1920s. They haven't existed in any organized way for over 100 years. They may, to a certain extent, try to restart themselves, or different groups start themselves, but it's not really a force that matters in any way. But I couldn't speak to, again, other than some kind of crazy desire for greater esotericism. Define that however you mean. Well, there's some truth to that. I mean, look, we as Freemasons welcome you if you believe in a supreme being, and that supreme being can be very broad. But I know many Catholic Freemasons. Obviously, the Catholics have their own issues with Freemasonry, which is not on our side. Humanum Genus from 1888, Pope Leo XIII wrote it, kind of outlines their views. And I do think some of that was, more than anything else, just a threat in the sense of concern over the numbers that Freemasons were getting as opposed to churches. But yeah, I mean, if you want to know more about some of those concerns, you can check out Humanum Genus. We're going to give it a few more minutes. These 1 a.m. streams, 1 a.m. Eastern, I do them for about an hour, give or take. But I do have to get up early tomorrow, so I may be cutting this one a little bit shorter than normal. But please take a moment to, again, hit that like and subscribe button. Thank you all for being here. I'm a Catholic. I mean, I can't say I've ever understood it as well. Again, as someone who does know Catholic Freemasons, um, again, I've read the works, I've read the reasons why. Part of me was hoping that with the current Pope, Pope Leo the 14th, as he was born in 1955 and as he was born in Chicago, a place where Freemasonry would have been very prevalent, he might have had more interaction with Freemasonry and a more positive view of it, was my hope. And as a consequence of that, might change the Catholic view of Freemasonry. But so far, it seems like no luck. But you never know. Hope springs eternal. We're going to give it another couple minutes and then we will end this stream. But thank you, everybody who's joined. I truly appreciate it. It's not too late to do a 99-cent chat or 99-cent super chat. I'm just giving it a few minutes just to see if anybody jumps in to say hello quickly. I think much of the suspicion that could be part of it. I mean, if you read the work, it seems like there are three kind of issues, which we could go into them. I mean, it is too late to go into them tonight and on this stream. But the main issues, again, in Humanum Genus, which seems to me to be the main document that kind of outlines Catholic thinking on it. There were documents before, papal encyclopedics before, but the three main reasons seem to be: first, the fact that Freemasonry welcomes all different religious faiths to be part of its organization. They talk about this in the Anti-Constitutions, which basically the Pope Leo the 13th, anyways, took to be a slight against Catholicism. The idea that we would have Catholics and Protestants and Muslims and Jewish people all part of the same group and all taking obligations or oaths. Seem to take that as a slight, which again, if you're a religious organization, that's fine, because then you could argue we're converting Catholics and Muslims and stuff into quote unquote Freemasonry, but we're not a religious group, we're a civic group. The example I always give is there's no difference. If you got called into court, and Mr. Keeps, feel free to jump in, but if you got called into court and you had to testify in your court, you may, in the courtroom, you may swear your oath on a Bible. You could swear it on a Quran, on a Torah, on an item of significance to you. However you're swearing in, right, you wouldn't say as a Catholic, I can't attend the court because we have different religions taking obligations, because it's a civic group, right? They're not converting you to the religion of the court. So that was the first issue. The second issue seemed to be, again, from Humanum Genus, seemed to be the emphasis that Freemasons placed on democracy, which is true. Freemasonry did place an emphasis on democracy, which is why so much of it had this left-wing flavor in the 1800s, and then, was considered right-wing in the 50s. But, and there was this idea that was a threat to the Catholic kind of dogma, because if Freemasons are teaching you that the way that you can achieve that authority to be properly instilled in someone is through democracy and a democratic process, well, that's a threat to the Catholic Church, because obviously the Catholic Church you don't get to vote on how they interpret the Bible or their religious teachings, right? So it's an emphasis on democracy over kind of divine right, if that makes sense. And the third, and this is my reading between the lines, but I got the sense that the Pope Leo the 13th was very much unhappy with the number of people joining Freemasonry at the cost of attending the Catholic Church or being part of the Catholic Church. It was the growth. R, thank you for being here. Even though you have no desire to be a Freemason, I hope you have a desire to hit the like button and the subscribe button, maybe do a super chat. Well, no, jump far. I mean, so I guess, Mr. Keeps, if you thought I was incorrect, again, I've not read every papal encyclopedic opposed to Freemasonry. The one that I read all the way through, again, was the Humanum Genus from 1888, Pope Leo the 13th. Having said that, though, Freemasonry, our premier Grand Lodge, was formed in 1717, and the first Catholic document opposed to Freemasonry was, I believe, 1737. So it took them 20 years to dispute or write something negative about Freemasonry. So there you go. Now, to my knowledge, at present, when it comes to Catholicism, if you are Catholic and you're a Freemason, you're not able to take communion, is the current rule. I would agree with that, R. I would just say the think like them, certainly think like them in terms of if you're a Freemason and you're active, you probably have certain philosophical ideas that align with Freemasonry. So, for example, if you're a football player, you can assume every football player on your team appreciates teamwork and likes physical fitness. If you're a Freemason, you can assume everybody in your lodge probably has an interest in history and tradition and brotherhood. But certainly, Freemasons have many different ideas when it comes to political philosophy, religious philosophy. I think that's one of the greatest strengths of Freemasonry. But yeah, certainly philosophy and a certain base morality, I'd say. Although even that, I'd say many Freemasons will have slightly different understandings of morality. As how they define it, things like that. That's one of the beautiful things about Freemasonry, is that you can have men who are coming from different backgrounds, whether it be religious, spiritual, philosophical, moral teachings, but are able to work together in lodge with harmony for what's best for the world and hopefully what's best for the lodge. But R, thank you for being here. I think you're new to the stream, if I'm not mistaken. If you can hit the like and subscribe button, I would truly, truly appreciate it. I'm just going to wait for Mr. Keeps to see if he has anything to agree with or disagree with what I said. If not, I'll be ending this stream shortly. You're welcome, Traveling Lamp. Thank you for being here. I am not. Maybe my camera's got some grime on it. Let me see if I can't make it look a little bit nicer. Unless you're saying using a filter because I look ugly, which is very possible. I feel like that's not any better. Yes, I think that's somewhat true. And by the way, good day. Please hit like and subscribe. I would truly appreciate it. Like button, subscribe button. However, the way I always describe our quote unquote secrecy when it comes to Freemasonry is it's not secrecy, it's privacy. The example I always give is, imagine you had a family recipe that was passed down from your grandparents to your parents to you. You're going to pass it on to your kids. Because you have that family recipe, you're not going to share it online. You're going to keep it a secret or private. And the reason is not because there's anything nefarious in the recipe. Rather, it's because maintaining the privacy ensures the connection between your family members. Freemasons, ultimately, what we have to pass down to our brethren is our ritual. And so maintaining the secrecy of it maintains the connections between our brothers. I understand that, R. It's no worries. I understood what you meant. I just, for everybody else who's on the stream, right, I wanted to make sure I explain that so they understand the, the reason for the privacy. Because, like you point out, and you're absolutely right, there are many different reasons to keep something private or keep something secret. The idea that it is automatically nefarious or suspicious is crazy. Um, and most people understand that. The one thing I always say is whenever people say to me, like, Freemasons shouldn't keep secrets, I always ask them in the stream, okay, give me your social security number and bank information. And they say no. And then I always answer, well, should I assume there's something nefarious in your bank account? So there's always reasons to keep things private. It's not always negative. That's true, Z. That's true as well. Now, again, there are a lot of Masons who have different views on what is and is not meant to be kept a secret. My view is always the modes of recognition and the whatever passwords or passcrypts there may or may not be. Obviously, who are the people who are Masons. Generally speaking, with the symbols and the history of them, I'm pretty much more open about them. Let's give it another couple minutes. As always, though, please hit the like and subscribe button. I would truly appreciate it. I'll be doing more streams. Okay, cool. I have no cousins who are Masons, to my knowledge, anyways, but my uncle is, and both my grandfathers and my father. So, yeah, I'm lucky to have many Masons within my family. Probably some great grandparents as well. All right, I think we're going to end this stream. Thank you all so much for being here. Please, as always, hit the like and subscribe. This has been a fun stream. I hope to see you tomorrow. Or today, guess 1 p.m. All right, I'll talk to everybody later. Thank you so much. Well, I mean, you can ask him. He doesn't have to answer. He can answer however he feels comfortable with, right? That's the beautiful thing, again, about Freemasonry, is it's a personal experience. And everybody's comfort levels with talking about it will differ. All right, guys, have a good night. I'll see you all soon. Or DDA says good morning. DDA, good morning, good night. I'm taking off. It's 2 a.m. for me, so I got to get myself some sleep because I have a meeting in about 8 hours, 9 hours, give or take. I will stay on for a couple more moments just to see if anybody else jumps in the chat to say hello. Or is so kind as hit that like button and subscribe button. I always do DDA. I sleep the righteous. My teeth are okay. I just had a dentist appointment. No cavities. So there you go. My teeth were messed up. I'm the worst about taking care of myself. But had a dentist appointment. I got a clean bill of dental health, at least for the time being. But yes, brushing teeth before sleep is always a good idea. All right, guys. Everybody have a great night, and I'll look forward to seeing you all soon.